Hey, welcome to Adventures with Peps. Today we are painting a Haemotrope Reactor. As you can see, we've already got it primed. Just a classic black primer. Then we're using some lead belcher. Just going to dry brush it all over to give us a nice metallic-y base to work off. So the Haemotrope reactors are power generators found in almost every imperial industrial center. They crackle with energy as they fuel the endless war effort. In battle, cunning soldiers may dare to use the reactor's energy field to shield themselves from harm. So, the title of the machine, Haemotrope Reactor, would make you think blood. That's kind of where my brain went. And it is. It's the life force of the Imperium. Without the energy supply, they would crumble to their foes. So we are going to skip forward a bit because you know how to dry brush. You can do that on your own. I am terrible at painting terrain. It's not something I enjoy, as you've probably seen in other videos. So for this one, I tried to follow the how to paint guide in the magazine. And step one was to do 3 coats of lead belcher on this piece, followed by a wash of nun oil. I wasn't going to do that. That seemed wasteful, so I instead primed it black, and then as you can see I'm now dry brushing it with the lead belcher. Seemed a lot easier, seemed a lot quicker. I don't know why you'd do it the other way. Seemed very weird, but as you can see, the results I think look great. The dry brushing really picked up the details, it kept the lower down areas dark. Looks great. Then we grab the Corax white. We're going to do half the cog and the skull in this. It's very weird painting terrain. I know it's important. It's nice to have something to fight over. But it really doesn't do anything for me. Like for this, it felt like paint by numbers, especially as I'm following the guide. Just paint A, B, C, D, and move on with your life. That's really all I can say about terrain. I hope this video will bring inspiration to some of you, help you actually get some painted. Will admit, once it is finished, I'm really happy with the result. I'm really happy to have more terrain to play over as well. But God, it's boring. If these could come pre-colored, I would purchase that. If it was like horrifically colored plastics, like WizKids style, I'd take that. I'd chuck a wash on it, call it done. The idea of what I spend about 40 minutes in total painting this piece. That's 40 minutes I could have spent painting some Space Marines or some Orcs. I feel almost like it's a waste of time. But at the same time, I appreciate having a finished piece of terrain now, especially with the cargo containers, and I did a ruined city piece recently. I'm starting to see painted terrain as something important. But when I have free time to paint, they're definitely not my go-to choice. But we'll see, that might change in the future. We are gonna skip forward, because you get the idea, I'm painting it white. So let's jump ahead. And here we go, look at that. Woo! Weird giant skull in the 40K millennium or whatever it is. 40,000 K something. You know, Space Marine Grimdark. Why do they put this massive skull on it for? Is it meant to be a real skull? Then we grab a burden black, and we're going to do the other half of the cog and the other half of the skull. Pretty straightforward, so let's skip through that. Not going to lie, at this stage, it's looking pretty cool. We're grabbing some Macragge blue, and we're going to use that for the power coils inside the outer rim. Hard to see because they're like full of shadow and dark. And then the little viewfinder in the boiler door. I think this is meant to be like a plasma drive type device. As opposed to, I don't know, it looks like it should have a fire in it. Looks like, I don't know, the boiler room of Freddy Krueger. And I'm sorry to my standard paintbrush. You can see I am just trashing the hell out of this brush. But it was a cheap one. Came free with the magazine. It was just the Games Workshop standard brush. It's already losing bristles. So I'm really not that defensive over it. But as I'm hitting up these coils, this is probably a good time to say like, subscribe, all that crap. Give me some love. I'm still trying to get up to 500 to unlock that community tab. And I really want to know what you guys want to see next. Obviously, I'm doing this magazine for a little while, but what do you want to see painted? I got some Warlord games, I got some Judge Dredd, got Strontium dogs to paint, I got Slain miniatures, we got some fantasy figures to paint, there's some zombies. What do you guys want to see painted? Drop me a comment, let me know. And I'll see if I can get it onto the channel. So at this point, we are moving on to Corn Red. We're going to use that on the piping that's coming out the left and right of the device, the skull's eyeball, and the mechanical side's eye patch, I guess you'd call it. And through the power of magic, we are pretty much done. Tell you what, it's looking pretty impressive. It's just base coated. I've not done anything really that fancy. This piece has grown on me. I didn't think it would. Like I said, I hate painting terrain. This hasn't changed that thought process, but I am actually enjoying seeing it come together. It looks fine as this. I could happily put that on the table and not complain. But we have more to do. We are going to do a Rune Lord brass. I'm going to use it on the chimney stacks, the bolts that go around the ring, and the cabling on the back. So for the chimney stack, straight on, I'm just brushing it on, cover the damn thing, get it done. But for the wiring on the inside, as you'll see soon, I chose to dry brush it. I felt this would just give me a better depth of shadow on it. And I didn't want to risk flooding the detail with this weird metallic-y color. If I say so myself, it's looking pretty fucking good. I got the bolts. I kept the middle part silver. I did all the wiring on the inside. Picked out a few bits on the chimney stack that I felt could use the brass. Then we picked up Retributor armor. So I'm going to use these on a few of the metallic parts. I used it on the boiler door, his eye patch, some piping on the back just to give it some tonal differences. And look at that, it's popping. It's popping off. I'm seriously impressed myself. Then we grabbed the Nun Oil, and we're going to use that on the skull and the white cog symbol. Going to try and keep it to the shadowy recesses, but as you've probably realized with me, I really lack patience with a lot of this stuff. So I end up just slapping it on and seeing how it sits. It's all about experimentation. If I didn't like it, I could always go back and fix it. So why not? I try to be delicate, and look at me. I'm trying to I'm just going to try and keep it to the shadows. And then I'm slowly losing patience and fuck it, cover it. Just cover it. With the cog complete, we move on to the skull. And load up the brush and slap it on. This just is bringing me joy. There's something about just slapping paint on a model. I think that's why I enjoy speed paints and contrast paints. I'm not a fine detail artist. I love the freedom of runny paints. They're going to find their own way. So just load it up. Let the paint have fun. Hope for the best. You can always fix it up later. And as that's drying, we grab the next shade, which is going to be Agrak's Earth Shade. We're going to try and line shadow the piping, i.e. try and stick to the edge where it meets some silver. I'm not trying to cover the whole thing. I'm going to try my best to do this nicely. We're also going to use it on the brass and gold features of the main model. Gotta be honest, this bores me. This part has reminded me why I don't like terrain. I know the effect's going to be good when it's finished, but going around doing this, look, ooh, hate it. I want to just slap shade all over it, but I know that's not what I'm meant to do. So, patience is virtue. With these final touches, we are done. I'm happy. This paint guide worked. Didn't expect it to. Some of the paint guides in this magazine have not looked very good, let's be honest. But this one worked. It looks nice. I've surprised myself. Would I buy this kit? Probably not. It's too 40k. I'd have to cut that skull off. If I'm using it in Judge Dredd, it would have to be this way around with the skull facing a wall so you couldn't see it. It's just a little bit too grim dark, I guess, to make it generic sci-fi. But look at it, it looks pretty cool. Colors are popping. It's not over the top in your face. It's a nice piece. I'm happy with it. In total, we are probably, I'd say 48 minutes in with the painting, so you can knock this out quite quick. And it's a sizable chunk, like this Necron Immortal. He barely comes up to the boiler door. And then if we grab a Clegg, there we go. Look at that. Yeah, it just looks weird with the Judge Dredd stuff. But I hope you enjoyed. Hope you'll give me a like, follow, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Cheers for watching.